All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the December webinar for the Virginia Governor's Conference on Aging. My name is Martina James Nally, and I am the conference manager. Again, thank you so much for joining us this month as you've joined us on the fourth Tuesday of the past several months, this week being a week earlier just because of the holidays. We wanted to get this in and on your schedules. So again, thank you to our attendees, thank you to our sponsors, our conference partners, Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services, along with the Virginia Association of Area Agencies on Aging, our presenting sponsors who have stood by us for the past several years. And as we went through this transition with COVID from an in-person conference in May of 2020 to May of 2021, and building out this webinar series in the meantime. So Dominion Energy, Virginia Housing, and AARP Virginia, we can't say thank you enough. This month, as we've done each month, we work hard to thank and highlight some of our sponsors and exhibitors. We ask that you take 5 minutes to visit vgcoa.com and learn a little bit more about the organizations that are supporting this webinar series and the conference and really making this possible and available to people across the Commonwealth, but also we have people that join us from across the United States. So Matt Splacano and Associates, GenCare Senior Medical Center, Appalachian Agency for Senior Citizens, and the Virginia Association of Elder Law Attorneys, Virginia Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, excuse me. Without them and all of our other wonderful sponsors and exhibitors, we wouldn't be able to do this as widely spread and as available as we are. So thank you. Again, we record our webinar series every month and they are posted to vgcoa.com. You can find them all there. We do not issue continuing education credits, but we are more than happy if you send an email, we can issue a certificate of attendance that you can submit on your own accord. Please just let us know if you need that. As we get started, I want to go over a couple housekeeping items. We shifted about a month ago to Zoom webinars, so the platform is a bit different than GoToWebinar we'd been using previously. We will do Q&A at the end of the session, but as the programming is going on, we encourage you to put your questions in the Q&A box. You will notice at the bottom of your screen, you have a chat box and a Q&A box. Please put your questions in the Q&A box. It actually allows other attendees to upvote your question or comment on your question, share other comments about what you're concerned about. So it creates a bit extra level of engagement. And then at the end, once we get into questions, I will be able to unmute you and allow you to turn your camera on so you can actually ask the question live to our presenters. And we felt like shifting to this platform and allowing our attendees to have that extra level of interaction with our presenters just creates an overall better experience for our attendees. Again, we've been doing this since June. I can't believe we're 6 months in. Each month we've had 300 to 600 attendees. We've had thousands of people collectively register to all the webinars over the past couple months. We will be moving forward into January of 2021. And after this webinar, we'll be sending out a attendee survey because we'd love to hear what you've thought of the programming so far and what we can do to provide wonderful programming as we move forward. So if there are sessions or presenters or topics you'd like to hear about, please feel free to share that with us. And we would love to be able to build that into the programming. And I know you all are very excited to hear more about the actual conference in May of 2021. So in the coming weeks, check your inboxes and feel free to reach out to us, but we'll have a few announcements coming with that. So as we move into the actual presentation, I want to share with you our presenter, Sarah Gravely. Sarah is going to be talking to us about the importance of well-being in the workplace and in your personal lives. If we think of this this way, every week, the majority of our time is spent working. So how do we show up? How we show up really gives us the opportunity to make life better for people, whether it's ourselves, our customers, our employees. This webinar is going to go over practical applications to implement throughout your day at work and at home. Scientifically tested meditation and mindfulness techniques will be shared to help in reducing stress and living with greater ease. The webinar is not just for the aging professional, it is for our clients, for our colleagues, for our friends, for our family members. So again, feel free to share this recording. We're hoping that during this stressful time, as the holidays approach, as we're still dealing with COVID, as we're transitioning into 2021, you attendees will take some time to focus on yourselves and invest a little bit in your well-being. Very quickly, let me share a little bit about Sarah Gravely, who's joining us from Charleston, South Carolina. She is a wellness consultant and has consulted with businesses to identify and create multidimensional wellness programs and courses. She's led research-based mindfulness and well-being workshops and webinars for several clients. And she coaches individuals on how to maximize their overall well-being using a measurable research-based approach. Her background is 15 plus years of corporate experience as a personal assistant and high net worth individual executive assistants to C-suites and event planning and project management. She graduated from the University of Tennessee with a major in public relations and communications and is certified in integrative nutritional health as an integrative nutritional health coach from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. She has a certification in mindfulness-based stress reduction from Mindful Leader, and she's a contributing member of the Wellness at Work initiative with the Global Wellness Institute. With that, I will hand that over, and hopefully I did not butcher that too much for you, Sarah. I apologize.
And I put myself on mute. Thank you so much, Martina. It's so wonderful to be here to talk about a topic that I'm extremely passionate about, well-being at work. And today we're going to really hone in on how we can address stress as a caregiver or a healthcare professional. And, you know, I think addressing stress is through some of the strategies that I'm going to go through in this presentation. We're going to make sure that we do some active work together and have some questions to pull each of you about, and then some questions that we can contribute to share at the end of the presentation. I would actually like to start with having each of you join me in a body scan meditation. So I invite you all to sit comfortably or stand where you are and begin to bring your attention into your body. You can close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And as we begin, you can notice your body wherever you're seated. Feel the weight of your body on the chair, your feet on the floor. Take a few breaths in and a few breaths out. And as you take a deep breath, bring in more oxygen, enlivening the body. And as you exhale, have a sense of relaxing more deeply. You can notice your legs against the chair, pressure, pushing heaviness and lightness. You can notice your back against the chair and bring your attention to your stomach area. If your stomach is tense or tight, let it soften. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Notice your hands. Are your hands tense or tight? See if you can allow them to soften. Notice your arms. Feel any sensation in your arms. Let your shoulders be soft. Notice your neck. Notice your throat. Let them be soft. Relax. Soften your jaw. Let your face and facial muscles be soft. Then notice your whole body present. Take one breath in One breath out. And be aware of your whole body as best you can. Take a deep breath in. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I hope that is something that was helpful for you as we start into this presentation, to really get present in where we are, to leave what we had before us before we walked into this presentation, and to not focus on what we have after this. So stress, what is it? It's a feeling of emotion or physical tension, and it can come from events that make us feel frustrated, angry, nervous, sad. And it's our body's reaction to challenge or demand. Sometimes stress can be positive, but we want to be able to have tools that can help with stress. And I think these overall tools that help with stress, especially around mindfulness and meditation and mental well-being, we'll go over some of those today. So what is well-being? Well-being is not just the absence of disease or illness. It's a complex combination of a person's physical, mental, emotional, and social health factors. Well-being is strongly linked to happiness and life satisfaction. In short, well-being could be described as how you feel about yourself and your life. So I'm going to lead this with a poll question. And the question is going to be entered into the Q&A box by Martina. And the question is well-being in the workplace something that you are currently encouraged to practice? And I invite you to answer yes or no. And we'll go over some things later that we can talk about how we can implement well-being and mindfulness and meditation into your workplace. But well-being is really kind of useful for public health. It integrates mental health, the mind, and the physical body. And it results in a more holistic approach to disease prevention and health promotion. And well-being is associated with lots of different health, job, family, just different levels of well-being are help with decreased risk in illness and injury, better immune functioning, speedier recovery. And individuals with high levels of well-being are more productive at work, and they're more likely to contribute to their communities. So there's really no single definition of well-being, but it's a general agreement that at minimum, well-being includes the presence of positive emotions and moods. So how does mindfulness relate to well-being? There's a lot of research out there where mindfulness meditation's positive impact has a positive impact on the psychological well-being. So in fact, studies have found that mindfulness meditation is related to improved mental health across a variety of disorders. And these disorders include anxiety, depression, eating disorders, substance abuse, and chronic pain symptoms, and reducing that. Second poll question. Do you currently have a mindfulness practice? I encourage you to answer yes and no, or no in the question box that just popped up on your screen. So mindful working can really help with our productivity at work. And it's when we approach our work with intention, we're able to link more clearly, make smarter decisions, and better handle stress. Mindfulness is being here and now, in the present moment. It's really being aware of how you are in relation to others, whether they be your colleagues, your patients, whether they be your family, your friends. It's how you move through the world, how you show up. It's how you impact the people that are around you, including yourself. And it's being present with what is, without judgment. To just observe and to just be. I think in 2020, all of us have been tested with letting go of control of what is. Situations from our jobs to financial stress to uncertainty have definitely brought on added stress that maybe wasn't there already, or maybe was more stress that was added on top of extremely stressful situations. So mindfulness, in part, is really recognizing where we are in the present moment and accepting that. So some of the benefits of mindfulness are reducing stress, enhancing performance, gaining insight and awareness through observing our own mind. It's increasing our attention to others' well-being. It's suspending judgment. It's unleashing curiosity. And it's experiencing warmth and kindness. We live in a world where I think success is often defined as how many things can you do at one moment at one time. I think the other day I had 20 tabs open on my internet browser, and I was doing 5 different tasks at once. And just really focusing on that word time. Time is against us. Time is, there's not a lot of it. Time, if I only had all of this time, I could get everything done. But it's not being fully present when you're really wanting to focus on one thing and one time. So what are ways that we can be more mindful? We can do one thing at a time. So the next time I have 5 different things to do for 5 different projects, I can do one thing at a time. We can do it slowly and deliberately. We can do it completely. And we can put space between things. I mean, by a raise of hands, some of you have screens, videos, some don't, but even just for yourself, how many people have back-to-back days of one meeting to the next meeting, to the next meeting, to the next meeting? There's not a lot of space in between. And the things that I learned on Zoom are, there is a raise the hand button. So you can, I think, participate by raising your hand if you go into the, I believe it's the chat box. And Martina just acknowledged that. So thank you, Martina. I think you can also just develop rituals. Some of the things that really work for me are defining time in the morning to fully wake up, to do one thing at a time by having a cup of coffee and just sitting with a cup of coffee in the morning and developing that ritual. That's the one time in that day where I know that I can focus. And it's also me designating time for certain things. You can devote time for sitting by a raise of hands and clicking in the raise hand button. How many people find time to just sit, to just be? I know it's one of those things that I have to remind myself to do. Other things that we can do to be more mindful: smile. It's hard these days when you're out and about in the public, or not out and about in the public. Maybe you're at the grocery store with your mask on. I've noticed when I'm out and about and running errands that you can really truly see a person's emotions through their eyes. So smile. Smile under that mask. Serve others. This is what you do. Your caregivers, your healthcare workers. We thank you all for the work that you provide to our loved ones. It's a mindful practice that you probably didn't know that you had. See cooking and cleaning as meditative. Another question you can ask yourself, and even going back to doing one thing at a time. How many people, by a raise of hands, listen to a podcast, listen to music, talk on the phone while they're doing chores around the house? Usually I find myself folding laundry with my earbuds in, listening to my new favorite podcast, talking to friends all across the country. But I also find that it's extremely beneficial to do laundry, just doing laundry. It's simple. But it's a moment in time that I can be intentional with what I'm doing. I can focus on one thing at a time. And I can be fully present. It's a meditation. It's a mindfulness practice. I think sometimes when people think about adapting a new practice or a new habit, it's overwhelming with information that's out there. It's overwhelming with, where do I start? How do I implement this into my already busy schedule? I don't have time to go on a weekend retreat. There's not a meditation studio in the town that I live in. I don't have 20 minutes in the morning to meditate. So what are different ways that you can add this to your already, full schedule? Cooking, cleaning, yard work, walking the dog, driving your car. When I used to commute to the office, a lot of my time spent in the car to and from was with the radio turned down, almost completely off. My phone in my bag, on the ground next to me. And just really just driving. Sometimes I had thoughts. Sometimes I didn't. And these are just examples that I give to people on how they can implement these things, but driving, imagine yourself driving to or from work and the stress of home or the stress of work. You want to wipe that clean from your slate before you walk into the next space to be fully present. Imagine that stress, those emotions going through your body and out the exhaust pipe. I encourage you to try it. It may be simple. It may be silly. No one in the car has to know that you're doing it. Your kids could be talking. Your dogs could be barking. Just try it. Other ways that we can be mindful throughout our day-to-day is do less and live simply. There's not, depending on where you are in the United States, there's still restrictions on what we can do and where we can go. And I think that if anything, 2020 has really taught us to simply be, to do less. I have a final poll for you based on some of the examples that I just gave that have worked for me and other people that I have worked with. You can answer this yes or no. Are these practical practices that you can take away to share with colleagues, friends, and family? I invite you to click yes or no. So really, mindfulness is tapping into all your senses. We started this presentation with a body scan, really tapping into how we feel, where we are in this present moment. It's how we can see, how we can hear, how we can taste, how we can smell. And it's really tapping into what we're feeling physically and emotionally, and observing our thoughts and feelings from a distance without judging them good or bad. I had a talk last week. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and I spoke to a group at the Medical University of South Carolina, and it was the interns, the medical interns, the physician interns on Tuesday, and then the physician residents 2 and 3, year 2 and 3 on Thursday. I'm still learning that lingo, so hang in with me, guys. And we talked about feelings and emotions and celebrating good days and recognizing difficult days. And keep on going back to 2020 and the lessons that we have learned. It's been challenging. But I think that there really are truly silver linings on things that we can take away in this new post-COVID world. And that is having difficult conversations. It's really kind of identifying, accepting, holding space for others and where we are, and speaking to you as a group and caregivers and healthcare providers. You're receiving a lot. Not only do you have to deal with patients, you have to deal with different regulations on restrictions. Maybe you have to deal with difficult members of family for the patients because, their emotions are heavy because they want to see their patients or their family members, but because of restrictions for nursing homes, they aren't able to. And so you become the middleman, so to speak. on top of an already heavy job responsibility. So how are you communicating that to your peers, to your superiors, to your boss, to a therapist? I really think that we've turned a corner in creating a work environment where these are, especially in healthcare, these are important factors to talk about. And in the talk that I gave last week, I encourage the chief residents and I encourage the physician residents to really find someone you trust, that, get a little buddy where you can walk up to them and say, hey, guess what? Today was a great day and here's why, and celebrate that. And then also saying, you know what? Today was an extremely hard day and here's why. You can follow up with, can you hold space for me? Can I ask your advice? Can you help me work through this? Can you help navigate through this? Because the reality is, no matter how much mindfulness practice we incorporate into our day-to-day, how much we meditate, how much we focus on the good, there's going to be the polarities and those emotions. So not judging the days that we have that are bad, accepting them, identifying them, vocalizing them, and also doing the same for the alternate. Celebrate those wins. We had someone share in the meeting last week, and I've had a lot of other clients that have done this, where they start their meetings with one win, one celebration, and one challenge. I wouldn't say failure, because none of us really are failing if we're trying. So one success and one challenge, and identifying that and creating that open space, that open dialogue where it's okay. So going back to the different types of mindfulness practices, mindfulness is innate and it can be cultivated through proven techniques. And I have slides to share with you after this presentation. I want that Martina will send out as a follow-up. And I didn't want to go through all these links because I wanted to have more of a conversation. But I encourage you to read some of the examples that I share, some of the research, the proven research on applications that can be added to how mindfulness can reduce stress. So you can practice this seated, walking, standing, moving meditations. Walking meditations are pretty great. You can add short pauses into like your day-to-day, and those pauses for some of the things that we discussed. And I think that things that can easily be applied. And you can, merge meditation practice with things that you already do. I often speak with clients and with groups that small changes make the biggest impact over time. So adding mindfulness practice, adding stuff that can help increase your overall well-being with scientific ways to help reduce stress, it doesn't have to be difficult. It's extremely easy. And the best part is you can do things without even people knowing that this is what you're doing. So I'm gonna share a couple of slides actually at this point. And we are gonna, let me pull this up, but we're gonna go over a couple of different techniques that I think might be helpful for you to add to your day-to-day, another way that you can incorporate mindfulness. And that is gonna be breathing techniques and breath work. Before I share those slides, I just wanna talk about breathing. We have to breathe to live. But many people don't know that actually active breathing, when guided, it can help relieve pain. It can help lower blood pressure. It can help quiet your minds. And it can really truly allow ideas and answers to flow easily. There's 3 different breathwork techniques that I find extremely helpful. And I'm going to share those right now. Oh, the navigation of the Zoom. We're all in this learning process together, right? Okay, I think we are good. Martina, if you can give me a little just thumbs up that we can see this, and that would be great. Thumbs up, I see you. Thank you very much. So one of the breathwork techniques that I share with people is 4-7-8. It's simple. You're going to breathe in 4 seconds. Hold 7 seconds. And breathe out through the nose or through the mouth for 8 seconds. And if you repeat this 5 to 7 times, it really helps you feel calm. I actually did this before I joined this call. I usually am so excited to talk to people. And this is the first time that I've done a group of this size on Zoom. And I was laughing with Martina. I was like, you know what? I have never been nervous, but I am nervous now. So you can do these things, you know, this simple breathwork exercise that I added right before this call just really brought me back into the moment. So again, I'm going to ask you all to actively practice this with me. Of the 3 breathwork exercises that I'm going to share today, this is the one that I think can be done easily. It can be done behind your masks. It can be done when you pull up to your job. It can be done when you get in your car to drive home. It can be done when you pull into the driveway when you get home. Transition periods. Remember that space we talked about? Creating space in between meetings. This is a good space. This is a good space. What is that word? Space saver? Would that be it? I think so. So again, like we did at the beginning of the presentation, I invite you to sit comfortably in your chair. If it's comfortable for you, close your eyes. And breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 seconds. Breathe out of your nose for 8 seconds. Breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 seconds. Breathe out of your nose for 8 seconds. And one more time, breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Breathe out and hold your breath for 7 seconds. And breathe out through your mouth for 8 seconds. Another really great example of how you can implement this into your day is first thing when you wake up. Right when your head hits the pillow right before you go to bed. I don't know about you, maybe by raise of hands and the Zoom option. But I know when I can be so exhausted, and the second that I hit my head to the pillow, the mind just races. So I practice this breathwork exercise to really comfortably go into deep sleep. And again, an opportunity to raise your hand, either for the group or collectively to yourself. Oftentimes I wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep because my mind starts racing again. But ding, ding, ding. This is one of the tools that I can add to really help me calm my mind. So the second breath work exercise that I really want to go over, and I think it's just super simple. It's really simply be aware of your breathing as it rises and it falls naturally. You can observe your breath when you get into a more present state. You can sit or you can lie comfortably and place one hand on your upper chest and place another hand below your rib cage. There's something about that touch, along with the recognition of your breath, that is extremely powerful. So just simply breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. And while I don't have a suggested amount of time for this exercise for you, I truly tell a lot of my clients and people that I work with that do what's comfortable for you. You can feel when that heart stops racing. You can feel when there is a shift in a calmness in your energy. So I encourage you to try that and add that to maybe just a new way that you can incorporate mindfulness into your day-to-day. And then the final is just a 3-minute breathing exercise. And I actually really enjoy doing this lying down. But the first minute is just bringing awareness to your present moment. So what am I experiencing right now? And thoughts and feelings. Is it a good day? Was it a challenging day? Did my feet hurt from standing on my feet all day? Acknowledge the good and the bad. And then after that minute, focus the next minute on simply breathing. Whatever your natural cadence is with the breath. In and out. And tune into your own awareness. In the final minute, expand your field of awareness to the whole body and really truly bring the energy back in the room. This is an opportunity to add that body scan that we did at the beginning of the call. What's that song? I'm around kids a lot, and so we always sing head, shoulders, knees, and toes. You could almost do a head, shoulders, knees, and toes body scan if you're just trying to start out. How do I feel? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen at the moment. And I think I went back into, Martina, if you can give me a thumbs up, that would be great. Awesome. And I do see where there are some people that are adding questions or comments into the chat box. And so I encourage you to do that. We'll have an opportunity to go over that at the end when we have a time for discussion and question and answers. So the next activity that I actually want to have or encourage you all to participate in is, I think that you've done this before on one of your presentations, but it's a Mentimeter. And we are actually going to, and I think Martina is going to share this. And based on the things that I've discussed from this topic and from this presentation, please add in this document, and this is something that we can send to y'all that y'all can take what is one new way that you can add mindfulness to your day at work? And it's maybe things that I've talked about and shared with you, or it's something that I haven't even discussed. So I encourage you to use this document to add. Martina, and the instructions to do so is if you go to menti.com and then enter the code 4992415, then you can access the screen where you can add it. Or Martina also added this link into the chat box where you can add it from there. We have one person that and I think a lot of people are starting to add, but stepping away from the computer for 5 minutes, that is a great, great, great tool. You know, I often put reminders on my phone. I don't have an Apple Watch, but I put reminders on my phone on just get up and walk around, step away from the screen, some other things, deep breathing exercises throughout the day. I hope that you have found, if you haven't done breathwork exercises before, I hope that you have found these to be simple and beneficial ways that you can add to your day-to-day. Taking short breaks throughout the day to catch your breath, to walk, pet your dog. Nothing is more special than petting an animal or someone. If we all could just have that excitement through dogs, like dogs do in every day. Focus on smiling. I love that. And seeing reactions of others. You know what I've started to do, especially, I did this the other day at Michael's. I was getting something framed, a custom frame. And of course, you know, we're behind mask and can't really smile, but I made a point to really focus on making deep eye contact. And this guy named Fabian at Michael's in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, was so incredible. And it was just adding a compliment to his, and really thanking him for showing up and doing what he did. And I told him, I said, you were going to be my framer from here on out. And it's, I think, making the biggest difference in a person's day by eye contact, by sharing a compliment. And it can be a stranger, it can be someone you know. Take a lunch break and breathe. And I'll go through a lunch break activity in a bit. Be grateful, gratitude and being thankful. It is extremely, extremely important, especially in this day and age. A cup of hot tea, I love that. That can be your ritual. You're just a simple cup of hot tea. It's the moment that you really value. It's simple, but it's oh so rewarding and therapeutic. Find a quiet place to pray and meditate. Oh, I love all of these. Thank you so much to add. Leah, I see that you're not able to access it. I'll have Martina to add the link again, but feel free to add your comment into the comment box and we can add it and send this out collectively. But I really think it's important amongst us colleagues and amongst you colleagues as caregivers, as healthcare professionals, to feed off of each other on ideas. My day looks completely different than your day. And I'm sure your day is going to look completely different than another person's day. But that's one of the greatest things about creating a mindfulness practice is that what works for me might not necessarily work for you. But but we can adapt to what works for our schedule. It can adapt what works for our day-to-day. Some of us go home to an empty house. Some of us go home to pets. Some of us have, family that we have to take care of. We're all in different spaces. but these are all things that we can add. So thank you. We can continue to add to this. And I don't know, I'll have Martina speak to this, but I don't know how long this will be live. But after the call, if you want to continue to add, that would be great. So mindfulness at work, 10 techniques into addition to what you have shared that I find extremely helpful are in creating an intention each morning. So whether this is something that you create for the week, the month, the day, whether this is a work goal, whether this is something that can be a little bit more personal, and that personal can be, I accept all challenges, all obstacles today, this week, this month, as a positive learning experience. And create that alarm on your phone and set it as a reminder several times during the day. So you can look down at your phone and be like, oh, that's right. And who knows, it might be at that moment where you're having a really down moment, or it might be that moment where you're having a really amazing day, but it's just a reminder. I think I spoke to the reminder too about like the standing up and getting up and walking around. Another technique is finding purpose in your work. What each of you do is extremely important. I tell my friends and family and colleagues, and not colleagues, but people that I present to, like audiences like this, how grateful, eternally grateful I am for how you show up each day. So recognize the moments, the simple moments in each day that bring you joy. Maybe even jot down at the end of the week, end of the day, a list that things that of something that was meaningful. And when you're having a bad day, look back at it and look at that list and you're like, and this is why I do what I do. Be present. Ground yourself in your work and be present. Meditate. There's always this saying, I say, stressed out, meditate it out. Find, 5-10 minutes for a reset. And that meditation can be something that can, and I'll send a link to some meditation apps if you're not familiar with them, and some of my favorites, but it can also be breath work. It can be that ritual of having that cup of tea. Focus on one task at a time. Growth mindset. Really focusing on like, what can I learn from this? This is a challenge. This is something that might be a little difficult in the moment, but what can I learn from this? Going back to embracing your emotions, and we talked about that, like embracing the days that you're having really good days and the days that you're really not having a great day, and acknowledging them. I am angry right now. I'm frustrated right now. I am incredibly grateful right now to be speaking to this amazing group. Take a lunch. And I mentioned this when we were going through that active sheet, but simply take lunch and eat it. Put your phone away, step away from your desk, turn off your email. Don't scroll through Instagram. 10 minutes. Really fully be present in the food that you're eating. Stretch, getting up and walking around. Maybe do some arm stretches, some neck turns. And then finally, just celebrate your accomplishments. I have a monthly call with a group of entrepreneurs, and we usually share what we're proud of, kind of some accomplishments that we've had throughout the day. And I celebrated myself the other day. It's like, you know what? I'm proud of myself. And we need to really acknowledge that in our colleagues, acknowledge that in ourselves, because we all really should be proud of the work that we're doing. So celebrate your accomplishments. Create that meeting to where you are starting the meeting with, this is what we can be happy about. These are some of the challenges. And then going into 3 simple things that we can take home with us and maybe even encourage our family to do this, is eating meditations, putting away our phones, fully present at the dinner table. And then choose one daily mindful activity to do, whether that is brushing your teeth, taking a shower, the act of making your tea or coffee, like the petting and feeding your pets, and you're reading to your kids, the folding the laundry. Turn that into a mindful activity. I challenge you. And then gratitude, have a gratitude journal, write things down that you're grateful for each day. Just a word or a phrase. I also have a rock, and I don't have it with me, otherwise I would share it. A rock that I hold at the end of the day. Sometimes I keep it in my car and just hold it. And I talk or I express those 3 things that I'm grateful for. So final Mentimeter, which I encourage you all to participate in, is based on everything that I've shared with you today, from breath work, from a body scan, to just these simple and actionable practices that you can add to your day-to-day. What is one new way that you can add mindfulness to your day at home? And Martina, I think you can share the link to the group. And if you go to menti.com, let's see. And I'm going to pull up yeah. Let me know if y'all have any questions on accessing that. But it looks like the code, if you go to menti.com, is 5220045. So what is one new way that you can add mindfulness to your day-to-day life to help with your overall well-being? Oh, I love that. Afternoon hot tea, hot drink, sowing your breath and focusing on it. Oh, I love that. Maybe even just putting intention to a practice that you already have. Like someone shared, I really love tea, but I'll take longer to prepare, enjoy, and savor. Being present in that. Think about the nature of work and really helping others. Ding, ding, ding. I might have the winner for all of this. No, they're all great, but really making a point to have a few minutes for yourself each day. I think that for us, and I say us because I'm including myself in your group, but for you as a group of caregivers and healthcare professionals, you give so much to other people. You show up for so many people each day over and over and over again. But how are you showing up for yourself? Make sure your cup is full so you can give to others. I love all of these, and I thank you so much for adding these questions, and I'll continue. Please continue to add as I wrap up discussion and keep it open for some Q&As. But I hope that what I shared today was simple enough. And simple reminders of ways that we can add this on our day-to-day and work at home as we're going into the holidays, as we continue to go through the unknown of this pandemic and the challenges that we have been dealt with in 2020. I always laugh that this is such I eat, sleep, and breathe this. And so sometimes when I share these techniques with people, I question if they're oversimplified, but then it's just reminding, I get feedback or reminders from other people that this is exactly what they needed to hear at that moment in that time. So I hope that this is something that you needed to hear in that moment in that time. And I welcome any questions. I welcome